Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thank you for joining Shop Talk Live. My name is Rick Ramirez, also known as Rick's 2 Cents, along with my fellow co-host Skyler from Skyler Ewing Woodworking.
Hi, everyone.
Skyler is back in the house.
And Steve from Steve Makes Everything.
Hi, guys.
It's like,
And Roger is missing.
he's MIA. We'll see where it's at.
We don't know
Good
where
evening, everyone, from Iowa. And then Phil said hello from South Carolina.
Monk's
Man,
Corner.
I don't normally like to start the live with like some disturbing, like depressing news, but did you guys see the thing with the babies on the news?
No.
Wow.
800 babies, like 800 babies they found under some kind of Catholic, maybe like women and young children go there when they can't afford to have their baby, like they're supposed to give it up for adoption or whatever.
That's
Where
terrible.
was this?
It's all over right now.
And what
No, I
country?
mean, where did this happen?
What country?
I think it's Scotland or somewhere. Yeah, it's not in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're digging it. Said they're all in the septic tank. Over 800 babies. It's kind of nuts.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hello from Liberty Park, Alabama. Hello. And Jim from Chicago.
Hey, Jim.
In our
Jim, you're going to
backyard.
get credit in my next video, which will probably go out probably tomorrow now.
Okay.
It was going to go out tonight, and I found a problem in it just at the last minute.
So do you care to share what the video is about?
It's so Jim asked, well, he didn't ask, he called me out because I was remiss in my duties. When somebody says, hey, I got this new material, what are the settings?
Right.
And I mean, I and every other YouTuber will just say, oh, just run some material settings and everything will be fine. What I realized was I basically was saying start in the middle, and as I said in the video, start in the middle and hope for the best. And Jim's comment was, I don't even know where to start. Like he knows how to run material tests, but he doesn't know with a brand new piece of material where to start the
I
settings.
never run a material test.
Really?
Yeah.
Never.
I always do.
I mean, I did in the beginning, but I never do that anymore. I don't have the patience to wait. I feel like it takes too long. I just kind of guess it. I'm like, yep, good enough.
I always do.
I started 50-50, kind of like.
There you go.
And then I
Well,
will
you see,
track from there.
if you're using like an Omni 1, you can get away with that. It's pretty loosey-goosey on the settings, but not on the focus. The focus has to be pretty good. But diode lasers tend to be a little more finicky about settings.
I don't know. I remember when I had my X-Tool D1 Pro, and it was a 20-watt. And I had this 3D engraving that was like my best engraving at that time. And I remember it was speed 70, power 70. So it just stuck in my head. So now I'm always thinking like, well, if it's 20 watt, I'll start at the 70-70. If it's a 40 watt, I'll start at 50-50. Just go from there.
That's your go-to setting. Now, I have material tests, but people ask me, and it's like, I don't know, because I have them all stacked up, right?
Right.
And I'd have to go through and find the right material and look at the material.
Yeah, and I've never shown a material test in any of my reviews. I don't do them.
I always do, not because of that particular laser, but how it compares to other lasers. Because I always use the same material, like I buy it at the same place.
Yeah, I write everything down in a notebook. So
yeah, nice. It's so good of you.
Yeah,
I don't. Even the lasers that I use regularly, I never write anything down. I'm like, okay, we'll try this. I'm like, I don't remember what that was.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, write it down and go back to it.
I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a bit of an eidetic memory, so when I get a setting, I just naturally do it. But I can't actually recall it if somebody says, hey, what's the setting for X? I don't know. But if I lay a piece of that material down on my laser, I just know what the setting is.
Yeah, that's funny.
I am sometimes freaked out by how my brain works.
I said hello from Wisconsin. Dave said hello from Mississippi Gulf. I don't don't know about you, but it's pouring rain pretty bad by me today.
It's
How's it like
actually
by you?
starting here right now.
We had a little bit of drizzle, but mostly just cloudy.
Yeah, you get your hair cut, Skyler?
I did for the summer.
Yeah.
Me and the
Looks nice.
dogs.
Looks nice.
Hopefully not at the same place.
No.
Hey, Roger.
Roger.
Hi, Roger.
Well, a little late to the party tonight.
Must be. You don't have your Hawaiian shirt on.
No, we went out to eat, and there's a bar we go to, and they have taco nights on Wednesday nights once a month. Went down there, and I ran into a guy that I worked with for about 25 years, and I haven't seen in a long time. So we started talking, and next thing you know, I'm looking, I go, holy crap, I got to get out of here.
You talking about the silver slipper, Roger?
No. No, this guy and I, we were really good friends. In fact, we were like best friends back when my wife and I were dating. So it was,
Wow.
and I hadn't seen him in years. So it kind of had a little reunion going on there.
That's cool. That's cool. Good evening from the state of Iowa. A lot of
Idaho.
people. Idaho. Sorry. Thank you guys for letting us know where you're joining us from. Appreciate it. Hello from Texas, Houston, Texas.
Hey, the star of Texas is back.
Yeah, Texas is probably like 110 degrees right now. You know,
It was cold here today. Was it cold where
Oh,
you were,
what-
Skyler?
It was the 60s something, but I
that's
saw on
terrible for
Monday
this
we're going to
time of
have
year.
92.
Yeah, next week it's going to be warm.
Yeah, we were in the 90s yesterday, and today it rained all day today. So it was just humid and wet.
yeah. So funny story, Steve. Because it started raining, the little automatic robot just went back to his little home, right?
Yeah,
And
come back in.
Yeah, and my son says, I was worried about the robot. Can he cut in the rain? He called me at work.
It can actually, but then you end up turning it over and hosing it off, and it's
Yeah, so it's funny that it just took itself back because it was raining.
Yeah, it's unlike your average kid. It's smart enough to come in out of the rain. My kids used to just play in the rain all the time.
So before everyone asks, because we were asked before you got offline, CNC's not all the way together yet. I did start opening boxes though, and start assembling. Then I kind of spent some Father's Day time with my
man.
kid.
How long can it take?
Because I didn't want to put it together until I have the boards all cut on the bottom, so I don't have to lift it with the CNC on top of it.
Yeah, it's not that heavy. I mean, you're not going to get air under it, but you can lift one side first and then the other.
Yeah, I figured it would just be much easier for me to just manhandle it with nothing on top. So
I think you're making excuses because you're afraid to turn it on.
no, but yeah, so no, but I have all next week off, so I'll have it together. And I was actually looking on Etsy today, and man, there's a ton of STL files for CNCs. I figured I don't send you.
Yeah, if you want to buy them, I mean, there's certainly lots. There's definitely free ones, and I meant to go look, but it's been crazy this
There's
week.
a whole bunch of new rules now with Etsy. Like if you're not designing your own designs and
Yeah, especially the 3D printing,
Yes.
which is right up my alley.
But CNC too, right? It'll be the same.
and
So what are
laser
the-
engraving probably.
What are these new rules?
If you're doing like a 3D print, you have to own the STL. You have to have designed it.
You know, for example, I just happen to have one laying here on the desk. I make these are laser risers. This happen to be for a long array 5. I design these, and I own the STL. So therefore I could sell them. I don't sell them on Etsy. I sell them on our website, but I could sell these without getting in trouble. Where people are going to be getting banned from is, you can buy a license. You can go on Thingiverse and find something, and like for one of these flexible dragons, I don't have one of them laying here. The great granddaughter took them all, but you can buy the license which would allow you to sell those. Well, Etsy isn't going to allow that anymore. You have to be the creator. You can't just be, grabbing somebody else's stuff and selling it.
I wonder how that's gonna transfer to like engravings, like laser engraving. Can you just buy a design and engraving on something?
It makes sense that they apply this to everything, right? Like you should
Right.
design your own stuff.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna branch off into the custom clothing and purses and stuff like that.
See,
Where
I think
have to be the creator.
I think this is an attempt to get control of places like China and India where they just grab a design and then they start uploading, right? And without doing the design, and they sell it as handmade and sometimes handmade in North America when it's actually coming from offshore. And I think they're trying to get control on that. Like Etsy's getting a bad name, right? Just for just people shotgunning designs up, and then they disappear for a while, and they come out a month later with a new design they don't own either. So,
and they're starting to get a lot of what I call drop shippers. People that just buy stuff from China and then resell it on Etsy. And eBay has the same problem. That's what really ruined eBay, is so many people just drop ship stuff, and and that, and the other one is duplicate listings. I know they're going to crack down on that. Because there's people that'll list the same item but just change the description slightly and list it 10 times.
Yeah. Andy does that.
Andy does that. Yeah.
Now you're not gonna be able to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I've seen. I was scrolling through Etsy the other day, and I saw this seller was selling digital prints of magazines and books, and I just popped up this book that I actually own, is from $50. I can't remember the name of the author, but I follow that author on Instagram and stuff, and I bought his books, and I saw them, and it's like just some random person probably from China is just selling this digital, just like scan all these books, and it's selling them for like $9 a piece.
It's crazy.
And I contacted the author, and we had the chat and stuff. It's like, it's like never ending. Like, this keeps happening and happening. And he reported the shop, and they're still up. They're still selling the same books and magazines that they have no right to. They just, scan them, and they're selling.
If you see any technical books there written by somebody named Steve, let me know, because I found I've done a few books, and after I did the second one, about 2 months after it went on sale, I found a PDF version of it online, and I shot it to the publisher and said, like, do you know this is happening? And they just lost it. And I'm sure they sued whoever was doing this, but it's intellectual property means nothing to the internet, which is kind of sad.
Well, unfortunately, the Chinese they're known for that, right? They're not very, they're pretty cutthroat when it comes to that.
It's not only the Chinese, man.
Yeah.
It happens in North America too.
Yeah.
You
got a question here, Steve.
Yeah, Tim says he's had a light bulb moment. I like when those happen. He finally has a solution for all those test tumblers and messed up coasters. Yeah, I do the same thing. He's using it. He's going to use his Eufy E1. He actually has 2 of these now on order, so he's going to use that to print over them. I've done this. It works. It works not bad.
Yeah, mine just said rain all afternoon.
Yeah, we had that here too. Actually, pretty much all day.
It was kind of sunny here until the end of the day. Then it started to cloud over.
But on the plus side, we didn't have any tornadoes, so I'm good there.
That's probably a good thing in your yard.
Yeah, but we've still got a mess. But
yeah, we don't get tornadoes here because the air is too unstable for that sort of nonsense.
They call us Tornado Alley, right, Ryder?
Yeah. Yeah,
we're not as bad as like down in Oklahoma and Kansas, but yeah, it gets bad here.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. TJ said, how does one get an eidetic memory? I sure wish I had one.
I don't know how I got it. I think I was born with it, or maybe I got dropped on my head when I was a kid.
Dennis is calling in from West Virginia. Thank you for joining us, Dennis.
There you go. Ryder says, I'd tell you if I could remember.
Yeah. So you guys got any cool upcoming projects or anything?
Well, I spent all day Saturday shooting videos. I shot 4 videos.
Nice.
And went to process them Sunday. Got audio on every single one of them, but not a single bit of video.
Oh, that's
so now it's a podcast.
Somehow the setting on my for the video got bumped or changed. I don't know how the hell it happened, but I was not a happy camper Sunday morning when I was going to edit all these videos. So I got to do them all over again.
That's why I have a little video monitor, a little 5-6 inch monitor that comes directly off my camera and then feeds over to my video recorder, so I can actually see what's coming off the camera.
Well, I could have that too, and I could see the video on it on the monitor, but it recorded it in some format that DaVinci Resolve does not support. And I tried the AVS to convert it and everything out. Can't convert it, so do it over.
I usually record in ProRes. I have a Blackmagic video recorder, and that's what it uses. It makes I record in 4K, so like less than a minute of 4K video in ProRes is about 2 gigabytes.
Yeah,
it's pretty big.
I got my 4th Axis yesterday.
Nice.
So
is that like a rotary tool?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
here's Centero's bringing up something I'm just talking about here. They're trying to streamline the search results and get rid of the duplicate or near duplicate listings. You know, that is a problem for some people. You go to look for something and here's the same thing, same picture, and you got 10 or 12 of them, and all they did was change the description title a little bit.
Yeah, well, it messes up the search too, right, for customers, because they'll search for something and they'll see the first page is 10 of the same thing, right, as opposed to 10 different things. So it's not good for customers.
So I have a question for people in the audience. It's a Confession Wednesday, so to speak. Are you guilty of any of these things? Do you do multiple listings? Because I've heard that a lot of people do it because it actually works. So, you were doing whatever to, benefit your profits. Have you done this before? And if you have, with these new rules, do you have new plans, to be able to achieve the same sales level?
Well, going back to eBay, people used to do that on eBay too, but then eBay cracked down on it. And that was quite a few years ago. They cracked down on it. You can't run duplicate listings on eBay, period. Don't cancel.
I've never ran a duplicate listing.
Yeah.
I haven't either.
I would guess I wasn't smart enough because I never even thought of doing that. So
yeah, I'm having a hard enough time to keep track because I have my website and Etsy. So I was like, I have to make sure when somebody orders something, I go remove it from the other place really quickly. Because I had once when I just ran my kids to Target really quick, and that 10 minutes somebody bought from website and Etsy the same tissue box holder. I'm like, that's been there for months posted. It's like it just happened in 10 minutes. The same one got purchased by 2 different people.
Oh, wow.
We have that problem with a little bit with I call it inventory control with our nursery and our greenhouse. So we sell a lot of plants. So we sell on our website, we sell on eBay, we sell on Etsy, and we sell on Amazon. And it's all the same things. And I have to constantly try to track the inventory when we get close to getting down to the nitty gritty. That there's 4 left, and somebody just bought 3 of them on Amazon, and I got to go change them on the other sites. And it can be a challenge.
So many times I look at my shelf and I'm like, oh, I have 7 crosses left. But then I look on Etsy and only 5 are published. And then my website, I have 9 published because I forgot to take them down. I'm like, what's happening?
It's when you have that awkward moment with a customer and you say, I know you want the red one, but would you take a blue one? Because that's what I have.
Unless you're like I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take 2. I couldn't make up my mind. So it was a good decision just to get 2. And then afterwards, I was thinking I should have got 3, but hey, what are you going to do? Come up for another one. Boston Trucker. Hello from Waterloo, Iowa. Hello.
Yeah, about an hour and a half from here.
Bosnian Trucker's a regular. He's on quite often.
Yeah. So JM Creative Studios, hello from QLD. I'm not sure what that is. So happy to be here live. Normally have to watch a replay. Well, thank you for joining live.
Queensland, I'm betting.
If anyone has any questions, free to let us know. Happy hump day, everybody.
So right at the end of the day, my the UPS guy pulled up and dropped me off the Ortour R2, which is it's a cute little enclosed laser. It looks a bit like the size of an X-Tool M1. It's not as tall as that, but it's about that footprint size. So it's kind of neat. Now he brings the box off the truck and there's like this oil stain on the side of it, and I said, like, what happened? And he's slipping around in the back of the truck. He said, well, the guy who loads the truck must have dropped a box of like olive oil or something from Costco, right? Because I ship from Costco. and must have dropped it in the truck, and it broke. And he said, I'm skating in the back of the truck here now. And he said, I have to explain every parcel has some kind of oil stain on it.
I hope the laser is okay.
Oh, laser's fine.
Steve, is that your shop in the back in that picture?
That's today's shop.
Yeah. So
I wish. I wish. Because mine just has ugly concrete floors. It doesn't have any nice like white resin or anything.
See, I wish I had that much space.
I probably have that much space. Maybe not. Maybe a little less than that. Like
Nice.
my shop is 25 by 35. Which is it would be enough if I didn't have my tractor parked in there. But hey, speaking of things, I got my saw stop assembled this week.
How is it?
I like it. I feel less bad, we'll say, about spending, six almost $7,000.
Isn't it so much more quieter?
It's definitely quieter. It doesn't throw nearly as much sawdust as the DeWalt does.
Well, it has a bigger 4-inch hose, so
Yeah, it's got a bigger hose, but I actually got the weird round the table vacuum for the top for the guard, but I don't think I need it.
yeah,
see,
I didn't get that. It
I
looked
didn't
like in
get
the
it
way.
either. Yeah, that was my thought. And even the top guard. Of course, when I'm shooting a video, I'll put the top guard on. Just so people don't bitch. But otherwise, I don't have that on there.
I leave it on because it's got the little drag teeth to avoid kickbacks.
Now the
Doesn't get
riving
loud.
knife I have in there all the time, but
Yeah.
the top guard I don't have that on there.
Yeah, I always have the riving knife on.
Yeah. Anyway, I like it. It's of course I was putting you both have the 36-inch one, right? So the ends of the table that are made of like cast iron. They weigh what, 50, 60 pounds each.
And you have to hold them while you get them leveled.
And my wife is traveling this week, and just as I'm like holding this up, trying to get that first bolt tied in, that's when she wants to start sending me text messages.
Well, you should have watched my little assembly video on the saw because I use glue clamps.
Well, that's what I did on one side.
Together. Yeah.
The other side is a little tight for a clamp, but I used it on one side, so I had to get that first bolt in on the other end, and every time I just get it up there, I'd get another text message, and I finally said, I'm trying to suspend this 50-pound piece of cast iron. This isn't a good time.
That's funny.
It was not as heavy as you thought, right?
No, it was actually the main part of the saw. Once I put the wheels on, it was pretty easy to tip up.
Yeah.
Dennis said
it's nice. It's nice.
From Wheeling, West Virginia, had major floods this week. Yeah, it's raining like crazy.
Yeah, it's been Texas too got some rain. Was it Texas? Yeah, somewhere in Texas.
Dennis
Got
said
a lot of floods.
Japaning my first tool.
Japaning. It's a plating. It's kind of like bluing.
Yeah. Did you put any wax or anything on your table on your saw?
Yes.
I do once in a while. I do, yeah.
Yeah, I should.
If
I
you
haven't
read
done that yet.
on the SawStop website, they will tell you to have this spray. I have had a spray, but I never use it. I wax it because I waxed my bandsaw and everything else.
Yeah.
I use Johnson Space Wax, and I do it probably a couple times a month. Money because when guys will come over, we'll be sitting out there having a few of these. Where do they want to set that can?
You got little coffee rings all over the top of your saw.
Well, if it's waxed, you don't have that problem.
Yeah.
That, and I use the top of my saw as an assembly table too. So if you happen to drip some glue or something, if it's waxed, just take your finger and flick it right off.
Yeah,
What
I
did you
put it on my
Roger?
glue clamps too for cutting boards and stuff. I always put the wax and the glue just flakes off.
Yeah.
Tree
That's
top
another
woodworking.
thing too. If
Cookie?
people that are using bar clamps, wax your bar clamps when you're doing glue ups, because it'll make your bar clamps a whole lot easier to clean when you're done.
David All Natural Jid said, "I'm guilty of thinking I was recording."
Yeah.
That sucks.
I think
I've made that mistake too before. I thought I was recording and I actually wasn't.
Yeah. Marty said, "I don't count that. If I did, I would have tons of time. I would." One said, "If I did, I would need tons of time." Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Etsy, but
It makes it
mostly
easier
sell
once you
designs.
realize that you can just copy a posting and change the, like, I have like 7 cribbage boards. So I just take one that is posted and I just go to copy and then I just change the photos and I leave everything the same.
Yeah, you can duplicate a
super fast.
listing and edit.
We
from
use
there.
a software program called 6-bit, and I can post on Etsy and eBay right from 6-bit. So I can put a listing for one item together and post simultaneously both on Etsy and on eBay. And everything that we run literally off that program. I mean, our website sales, Amazon sales, everything goes through it. Makes putting listings up a piece of cake.
Marty said, I have a few questions about autofocus, but if I was to do it manually, is there any tips? I would say, what type of laser do you have?
Yeah. If it's autofocus on a diode laser, I would say don't use it. It's faster to do it manually.
Even if you do use autofocus, it's good to know how to do focus, because sometimes you even like to defocus because it has a certain effect, and you'll learn that.
Even lasers with autofocus, most of them will have some shim that you can slide under the head to do the manual focus.
Oh man, Tara, Texas said, bring out the baby oil.
Hey, I got lots of that.
You were going to a Diddy party or what? What's going on here?
OnlyFans, man.
Marty said, I have not watched any of your videos yet. I'm just curious if I can manually focus any better. The thing is, I think it's going to be close, right? I don't think it's going to be any drastically noticeable difference from autofocus versus focus.
Again, it depends on the laser. So diode lasers have a very long focus area where the beam is actually useful. So whether you're out a millimeter or two doesn't really matter all that much. But I have seen, so I forget what laser it was that had autofocus, and the autofocus was wrong. Like, it was just not right. And I sent a message to them, and they said, well, try this and this. I said, it's not working. Like, it's just not focused. And
if you want a real experience in focusing a diode laser, get a hold of one of them that was made about 10 years ago, where it wasn't so much of raising the head up and down. You actually had to turn the lens on the bottom of the laser to focus it. And you had to have your special glasses on and look to see if you get the finest dot, and then hope the hell that didn't move again until you were done with your engraving.
Kevin said, Ricky, your CNC put together yet? I got the...
He arrived late.
I got the bottom port put together, so I'm going to cut the spoil board so I can put them on, because I got the ones that screw from underneath. So that way I figured then I can just slap everything on.
You can't find an electrician to run the plug. That's the problem.
I already have everything ran. Yeah, I did all that way before, and I got the 4th axis. So, and I have next week off, so I'll have time to get everything done. But I did have some.
Did you get 110 or 220?
110. Yeah, I got the 110.
Yeah,
I got water cooled, but I got 110.
Yeah, that's probably the same. It's like a 1.8. Well, I don't know, 1800 watt or something. Like, I forget what the power is on it.
I'd have to check. Hold on, I can check.
UPS just broke my 5-gallon bucket of hydrologic fluid. Yeah, that would make a mess.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
No, it wasn't yours. This was today, and it was clearly like olive oil.
Was it tennis that I used PTFE spray on my saw? I never heard of that.
Yeah, PTFE is just like a plastic. That's probably what Saw Stuff is recommending.
As long as you make sure it's dried before you run some wood across, or your stain won't take.
Yeah.
Oh, all the coasters I make, and they don't use them. The people I sell them to certainly use them. Now the biggest thing is the bars. They actually encourage people to steal them, take them home with them, and because it's advertising for their bar.
60 watt CO2, and Madre, I thought you were talking about. So autofocus, it's a fixed lens.
No. Well, sure, the lens is fixed, but if your table moves up and down, Like my big CO2, well, even like a X2 P2S, the head moves up and down, right, depending on the thickness of the material.
Okay.
CO2s are, so if you have autofocus, it's probably going to work. You may have to calibrate it, but it'll work every time. They usually have like a little pen with a pin in it, and it comes down and touches the material. And yeah, you're not going to focus a CO2 by hand. It's not cool.
Yeah, my CO2 is fixed.
Yeah. Like
Alrighty.
I can put a 20-inch tall box in my CO2 and engrave the side of it.
So there's coaches laying all over out my shop. I mean, sometimes you get screw ups. Here's one sitting on my desk here. It's a mistake. Yeah, they're laying all over the place. So use them. Oh, hell no. Just boom.
I still have my official Steve Makes Everything DTF coaster.
Nice.
Use it every day for my coffee. Works great. Looks nice. It's color.
Mine just said her table moves up and down in her CO2.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got like a K40, you won't have that luxury unless you put one in.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the K40.
Yeah, although I have, so in mine, the little pin sticks down and the table comes up and touches the pin. Well, the table with the material. It's actually the material that's touching. But if you're using something, I don't know what kind of laser it is, but if it has like a Ruida controller in it or something, you do have to calculate the distance it pulls away from the material once it's focused.
So I just looked at the spindle. It says 1.5K, 80 millimeter 2-pole, 400 hertz water cooled.
Okay, so it's 1500. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mine is 16 or something. It works well. I like it. I have no desire to go to 220.
Yeah, I didn't want to deal with that. Radu said, "I'm so old. When I was in school, they didn't even have history to teach.
It wasn't invented yet.
It was still writing history."
I got something here for Rick.
All right.
You see that? Honker's Ale.
Honker's Ale.
You got to be from Illinois, and especially Chicago area. This is made in Chicago. Goose Island.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Having some of that is special on Honker's Ale, and I haven't tried that before. It's actually pretty good.
Either Rick doesn't know what it is, or he's judging you.
I'm sticking to the Modelo.
Now, Modelo is what I was drinking before I got home here when we were up at the bar. But yeah.
What do they say, Steve? After 6, they all taste the same.
After 6, here you're looking at the sky, man.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I guess that's two. That's 2 to our 6. 2 to our 6. Right?
Yeah, the beer in Canada's got a lot higher octane. This one here is 4.3.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's probably less than. Well, it might be a light beer here.
That's crazy, though. That's crazy. I don't know. I don't want to fall on my butt. I just want to be able to enjoy a beer.
If you don't want to have a glass of wine, you still want to get a little bit of a zip off of it. So you have a Canadian beer. It's the same thing.
I guess so.
Did you see? I took a little jab at you American folk the other day. Nick over Bill Dad Bill. He was posting his video there about the lumber from Home Depot and how awesome it was, and he showed this piece and this 2x4 was half rotten. And I left him a comment. I said, "Remember when your softwood lumber came from Canada instead of the Ponderosa forest?"
Oh wow! Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while. He's
building a chicken coop.
Yeah.
Oh, I just built one. I have to paint it.
Yeah, the difference is you live in the country. He lives in suburbia.
It turns out I have 4 roosters out of 12 birds that I bought.
So are you killing them?
No, I can't do that.
Most people do.
I know, but I can't. I already told my family, I'm like, there's no
dinner,
way I'm eating any of these birds. They're like my babies.
See, I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
Well,
They're your friends until they're your dinner.
My grandma had a farm, and I had no problem eating the chickens from her yard. But this is my babies. Because my husband is like, we got to find somebody that wants them. Just give them away. Let them deal with it. I'm like, I can't give it to them. I'm like, it's not a problem yet. They're still getting along.
Yeah.
There's been a big controversy in my neighborhood because somebody from the city moved here, and I mean, here it's like suburbia, but I mean, lots are all like 2 acres is kind of the minimum size, right? And somebody has a rooster on the next street over from me, and I hear it in the morning, and I think it's fantastic. But somebody from the city moved next door to them and is complaining about this rooster. People in this area where I live, they're really nice until there's a controversy, and especially if you post it on Facebook, it's just like you might as well just point a gun at yourself and pull the trigger because you're going to get blasted anyway.
In my area, it's the Facebook moms group. Anything goes on, it's like the gossip column, right? You're going to be on the Facebook moms group. It's so funny. Like,
well, there's a Facebook group here for our town, and I'm in a large metropolitan area, but there's a bunch of little towns around. It's kind of like up around Chicago. You get all the little suburban towns. You know, we're in one of the smaller ones, and there's one that's called I Like Where I Live, and that's a Facebook group. Well, there's people, you have the busybodies on there. I just heard a siren and I went down so-and-so street. What's going on? You know, like, people get a life, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy.
So I'm not sure
what
this question is referring to here. Will you get a roll of film to test? I assume this is the UFE E1 film, but maybe he's talking about Roger testing his video and using film instead. I don't know.
I go way back. Hey, I still have a Super 8 camera.
Wow. Is it under glass, like with a do not touch sign?
I don't even think you could buy Super 8 film anymore. And if you could, wouldn't know where to send it. So, yeah, I got a projector too.
Wow,
nice. What
I assume this is a reference to the UFE.
Yeah, what comes with it? What supplies?
Well, so UFE just announced that in time for the release, which I think is at the end of the month. Let me just get their details here. They just announced a bunch of new stuff, and
yeah, that's what they're asking about. Yeah,
I think they're going to send a bunch of this. They're adding gold and silver foil films, and that's so you can emboss on the material. And what else is here? Flexible white ink, which is cool. And they actually, so they print. I was showing Skyler before we went live here. They actually do like the flexible ink emboss or first, and then you put the gold foil on, and you just run it through their heat press thing, and then you just peel off the foil, and it's stuck on the white ink. It's pretty cool.
It's like gold leafing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of. And they also have some UV adhesion promoter, which I guess is a spray you can spray on things like stainless steel to make the ink stick better.
I have some of that.
Do you?
But not from them.
I was gonna say, did they send it to you?
No,
apparently they're sending it, and the print to film gadget is coming to fairly soon.
What's print to film?
So basically, it's like a DTF. You start with a big roll of film, and you can print something really long, like a skateboard, and then you can put it right on a skateboard on a deck.
Oh, so it's a transfer.
Yeah.
Like
a
sticker, like a giant sticker.
Okay,
yeah.
That's cool.
So all that's coming, I think, before the end of this month.
I think the 28th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Nice. Chapin said, hello from Ohio. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Let us know if you have any questions. That's what we're here to do. So, Roger, do you care to share, or can you share what these 4 videos upcoming that you're reshooting are?
Well, one is an irrigation controller for running. Well, you could use it for lawn irrigation. We're using it for our nursery and our greenhouses, and you can operate everything off your phone, and it's just cooler than hell. And we replaced an old Orbit 8-channel controller with this new 12-channel controller. And I can sit on my phone and you know, it detects. I got hooked to one of our weather stations, so like today we had a lot of rain, so it's not going to run tonight. None of the outside ones are going to run tonight, but the ones on the inside of the greenhouses will still run. So that was one of them I have to do over. Another one was on my 1025R tractor. You know, the mods I've done to it. Rick knows what I'm talking about there. And
Oh.
then another one is the Super Deluxe Blackstone griddle that just came out with. So
How are you going to spin all these for your niche?
I don't stick with one subject. And my other one is how to make these squirrel picnic tables that everybody seems to want to have. So
Yeah, those are cool.
Made out of cedar fence pickets too.
So speaking of Steve saying stick to your niche, I had someone offer me this fully automatic pellet gun, and I was like, man, I want to say yes. It looks so cool. It has nothing to do with anything I ever do, but it's like I don't know, man.
I got another. I've had 3 or 4 of them now. The people wanting me to test the robot dog, like the Boston Dynamics robot dog, but it's the equivalent one from China. And I finally sent them a message today and said, like, this is by far the coolest piece of technology I've seen, but it's not what my channel does.
I had yesterday an email from some company. They wanted me to review a desk, like a stand-up desk.
Yeah.
But it was like $3,000 desk. It had like cup holders that you can keep your drink cold to 33 degrees or up to 110 to keep it warm. Like, you know, phone chargers, all the gadgetry.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I forget that.
who needs
I've
that?
had that one too. I forget the company, and
It
I've
looked
been
really cool,
tempted.
but I'm like, I can't do it.
I've been tempted. I am doing one soon on a power door lock.
Nice.
And which I can control from my phone, because I have this nasty habit of leaving my workshop and then it's like, 10 o'clock at night and I go, geez, did I lock my shop?
So I had that SA lock one, and I started using them because Roger knows we have these the stations we go in, they have all these special locks, right? You can either use like an E key or you can use an SA lock on your phone. So depending on where you're going. So I was like, man, those are so cool. So I stuck them on my back door. So my daughter was young. Think she ever forgets her key, I can unlock it from my phone. What I forgot is you can't use it unless it has internet access.
Yeah.
So our internet went out one day, and guess what? Doesn't work.
It was the day she needed to get in.
Yeah, it was. So then I put it from the front door to the back door, but then I eventually just took it off. I don't even know what I did with it. It was like $400. Yeah. So
they're expensive. So this company is they're actually sending me another one. They sent me one already, and it's on my door, and it works pretty well. And but I'll spin that one in my niche because because I'm inept and I keep leaving the door unlocked. So
nice.
I almost took a collaboration for the pre-color, their new DTF printer.
Yeah.
And they come up with, but then I was like, no.
They sent
there was a message here actually, Rick, for me, and
the table saw.
Yeah, it's Andrew. Table saw is up and running, Andrew. Drop by. Well, when you drop by to pick up the F1 Ultra, you can have a look at it. It's pretty nice.
Frank Little Workshop said, hello from UK, just watching a few minutes, just way past my bedtime. Thank you for joining and stopping in. Appreciate it. It's
past my bedtime. I'll probably have to drop out here in, what time is it now? In about 40 minutes, because my wife is traveling, so I'm dog sitting. Little dogs have little bladders, so.
Chapin said, simple question. What grit do you go to prior to applying sand sealer polyurethane for hardwood versus softwood?
For me, it's 220 minimum.
Yeah, I don't work with softwood, but hardwood, it depends what I'm building. Some stuff I'll take to 2000 just to give it a nice mirror finish.
And not to sound stupid, but most of the time the cans have suggestions, right?
Yeah, it depends on the finish too. Some will say don't go over 220,
right?
But if I'm putting
if you do a Rubio monocoat, which is a hard wax, they will tell you to not go over 180.
Yeah,
you have to have some tooth for it to stick to.
Yeah.
So it might be wise to read the directions, just because trial and true, right? They prove what the products can work best at.
Certainly, and I usually pretty much pretty much the first coat I do, I always dilute it 50-50 with mineral spirits to get it thinner and let it penetrate the wood better. And then from there, I will put like the full strength.
Yeah, if you do that, then you can sand it to whatever grit you want.
Right.
How do you
Poughkeepsie, New York.
Poughkeepsie.
Oh,
Harold must be an IBMer or ex-IBMer maybe, because I think they closed the Poughkeepsie lab years ago.
Reducers, can you compare and contrast savings on Lightburn versus saving Lightburn files as library anytime you use one over and over again? They don't seem to save the settings and layers, etc. You can export it.
Well, if you're saving the Lightburn file and for a particular laser, it should retain all your settings.
Should have the settings.
Yeah.
If you're just putting art in an art library and you pull it off, you're not going to have a setting there. You're going to have to put something, whatever you need.
Yeah, an art library is just going to be some vector file.
Yeah.
Right.
PNG or SVG or something.
Something you need to remember if you have more than one laser, like a few of us do, and you've been making something like, let's say I've been making a my Orateur laser, and then I decide to use my longer B1 and pull the same file in, the settings are going to be different. You got to make sure you remember to change them.
Yeah, it depends a lot on what your shop looks like, right? Like if you have, like somebody said to me one time, "Oh, I only use Lightburn, and you're crazy if you don't use Lightburn." I said, "Well, I have 3 lasers that don't support Lightburn, and a CNC, and a UV printer, and like none of these things use Lightburn. So this is why I use Kittle for all my images, is because it's all managed in one place and it works everywhere." So like Lightburn's great, but if it's your only tool. But if you want to move your images somewhere else, then you're into a big export problem. And
I don't use the library. I want to minimize Lightburn's menus to a minimum.
Strictly speaking, I use Lightburn as a laser control tool, not a design tool.
Yeah,
same here. I do everything on Illustrator and save it on my hard drive.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's people like me that actually design things in Lightburn, and you run them on my CNC.
Chapman said, "Thanks for the help, except reading the directions." I said I wasn't trying to come off cocky, but I was just saying most of the time they've kind of figured out the best results for their product. That's all. There you go, Steve.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought IBM closed the Poughkeepsie lab. I'm saying this because I worked for IBM for 15 years.
Yeah.
Been to Poughkeepsie a couple times.
Yeah, the settings you would get from your material library. So if you have, there again, you got to have the right laser set up. When you have multiple lasers, this becomes more complicated in a material library.
So I think the problem is that like there's big people, certain influencers, who was even one who was on our guest on our channel, that they make this big library that you can download for free, and everyone just assumes that's for every laser in the world, and it's not.
Yeah.
So unless it's for the same laser, and even when it's for the same laser, the material is not always going to be the same, but it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
When I first started laser engraving and I knew nothing about lasers, I didn't know how to do a material test. So I bought some on Etsy, and it came with the numbers punched in, and it was like completely burning to the material. And it was just like not working for me. And I never knew why until, later on when I learned there was like the settings did not apply to my laser.
Yeah, they were crazy.
So this is all of this is the premise of my next video, including the library stuff. Just I did a quick overview on how to store your settings once you figure out what they are. So I think that'll be tomorrow probably.
ATB Marketing is back. Hello, good to see you again. Thank you. Doing good.
Everybody is doing well. Busy, but
Marge said, "I modified and edit Lightburn, but I design and aspire and export."
Yeah. Either way, you're using a tool that's not really a design tool for doing that, and then you're moving things around. So
the only thing that I do think that's pretty nice about Lightburn is the trace feature. That's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah, every tool has that.
Oh, but I'm saying it's like pretty on the money. You know, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good if you want to turn a bitmap into a vector, right? It's you know, but you can do that in any tool.
Yeah, Inkscape and Xtool, they all have it.
Yeah, Inkscape. I think Adobe Illustrator has it. Kittle has it.
Yeah.
It's just a handy tool.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you wouldn't have to go in another software. You just boom, easily convert it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, as long as you're using things that support Lightburn. Right?
Yeah. I'm saying within Lightburn because we were talking about not using.
Lightburn. If
Yeah.
you're just using a diode laser or a CO2 laser, Lightburn is great, right? There's no question. But
I use it for all my fiber lasers as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But if you want to do a design that you think you might move to, you know, maybe Xtool or maybe your CNC, Lightburn is not the best tool for that.
Yeah.
Because then you have to export, and their export doesn't work perfectly. And anyway, it's just use the right tool for the right job, right?
Pick and choose your battles wisely. That's all.
Don't use a wrench for a hammer.
I don't know, man.
Well,
Roger and I might argue about that one.
I was just going to bring up a pair of lineman's pliers. That's
Nice.
your hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you come to my shop and I start seeing like nail marks in a tool, that's not a hammer. I'll throw you out.
We call them nines.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny though. But yeah. So hopefully I can maybe download some free files, or I'll buy a couple off Etsy.
You know, you can take files off of Thingiverse too.
Thingiverse?
Yeah.
I've heard Roger talk about it a million times because of the 3D printing, but I've never actually looked because
it's mostly for 3D printers, but there's certainly some actual CNC files there. But if you see something that's 3D printed, you can just in Aspire, you can just lower it to the point where you want to actually print it or cut it out, and you can carve anything out of there as well.
Roger said, I use my wrench for many things. Could be a weapon, could be a hammer, could be a wrench.
Even to turn bolts. Yeah.
Harold said, when you only have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
Well, the great thing about a hammer is they're good for doing the micro adjustments on certain things that are making you frustrated.
Yeah. Santa's laser engraving said, so I work with AutoCAD products my whole career. 5 months into lasers, and how well does AutoCAD DXF transfer into Lightburn?
Well, I can't speak for AutoCAD specifically because I have not used their DXF, but for the CAD programs I've used, I exported DXF and pull them into Lightburn. It works fine.
Yeah, it works fine. And AutoCAD, I believe, invented DXF, so there should work.
It should be the superior format.
Yeah.
My problem with AutoCAD was for years I worked in AutoCAD Electrical, doing ladder diagrams. Very, very good at it. Still am. But to try to do something in 3D, oh no, I'm worth crap at it.
Well, AutoCAD itself isn't fantastic at 3D, but Fusion is. Although I'm seriously considering dumping Fusion when my subscription is up. And I actually built some light, some shades for my lights here in FreeCAD this week. And that was my first real FreeCAD project, and it works pretty well. So,
how much is that software?
FreeCAD?
No.
Free.
Yeah, FreeCAD's got free right in the name.
No.
AutoCAD subscription Canadian dollars, it's pushing close to $1,000 this year.
Oh, wow.
For a year. That's a lot.
Yeah. So you see no real difference in the free version, that FreeCAD?
For what I do, like mostly even in Fusion, what I do is I'll do a sketch, I'll make a 3D shape out of it and go, yeah, that's what I want it to look like. Then I'll export the sketch out into Lightburn, if I'm cutting in something in Lightburn, like I'll just export it as an SVG file.
And I've played in FreeCAD a little bit. I am by no means an expert. It does have a learning curve, and I'm not an expert at it. But for being free, it's a pretty decent program.
Yeah. So the learning curve until so after 10 years, they finally got out of the point releases and got to version 1. And version 1 is actually okay. And I did a little tutorial from a channel guy his channel name is Mango Jelly. And he has a complete tutorial, and it's like 40 parts, and he takes you through things. And it actually, in the first 10, I had enough information to do what I need to do. So
nice. Intenta said FreeCAD isn't terrible.
Yeah, he's not saying it's awesome. It's not
terrible.
I mean, they all have some limitations that, like Fusion has some things that drive me crazy too. But I've made quite an investment in Fusion, and I'm just tired of buying shares in AutoCAD at this point. Autodesk.
Yeah, Santa's Laser Grid said civil 3D in career, use Fusion in college.
Yeah. Fusion's okay. It's more than okay. It's the one to beat, but it's just so expensive. Like, I hate these whole subscription model things. They've just gone overboard with them.
Yeah, I know. You should just be able to buy it. To me, like, the subscription base should be cost more, and then if you're willing to just buy it outright, cheaper, right? Because you're willing to give them all the money up front. And let's just say you can't afford $1,000, but you can afford $29.99 a month. That's what it should be, right? And I think that this whole gotcha, you got to pay for the rest of your life, the subscription thing, it's beneficial to them, but
of course it's beneficial to them. It's called recurring revenue.
Yeah.
Right? You're paying forever.
That's where Quicken's making all their money now with QuickBooks. And I'm still back. I'm using a really old version because I refuse to go to their subscription model where everything is. I don't want all of my financial information in the cloud. I keep it on a server it's just on the LAN. There's no internet access to it. I don't want my financial stuff just out there in the cloud somewhere for somebody to hack.
Yeah.
And I don't want to pay that ridiculous amount of money every year.
Yeah. Mark said, I still use AutoCAD hand in hand with Lightburn. It works great.
Yep. Yeah. I just use the Shaper SVG exporter. Right. And export either a surface if it's 3D or the sketch.
Yeah, Radu said Fusion price went up too. There's and are stop supporting Windows 10 this fall.
Yeah, Microsoft is going to stop supporting Windows 10.
They'll never take me alive. Yeah, so Onshape is one I looked at too. And there is a free version of it, but it's pretty limited. You can't use it for commercial work. And it's definitely, I think it's about 1/10 the cost of Fusion for its subscription. Nice. But it's very similar to FreeCAD actually. When I looked at the two, they're pretty close.
Greg said hello from Cleveland, Ohio. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Skyler, I wanted to ask you a question, and we were talking about like kind of thinking outside the box lately, and what people saying being affected through our economy differently, and kind of how to reinvent the wheel, how to reinvent your sales. And one of the things I see in all of your listings is the pictures. And I think that obviously you have a stronghold because you're a photographer, right, by profession. But the examples, if I'm selling this and I just delete the background versus it's on a wall, do you want to go into like how do you stage those photos and really like the extra amount of time that you take to do that? Like,
I take no time at all. I have it in my photography studio. I have everything set up. I have the light, I have the background, I have a table that I put my product on. So my camera is sitting there that I'm using for the photos. All the settings are dialed in for the flash. So then I go there, I put my product on the table, I take the picture, and I go home, and then I just change the background at home if I want to change the background. But it just takes like 1 minute to take one shot. However, I must tell you that I've used a few times. If you look on some of my listings, I used an app that it just does it all automatically.
Oh, wow.
It's called the Photo Room.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it works really, really well. Like, especially if you're not great with editing and removing backgrounds and selecting the subject and stuff. So I don't know how to show you here if you can see it. But let's say I'll choose a photo. Let's see what I can choose something. Just choose a product that I have. So let's say I want to do this cross. You remove the background automatically, and then I'll go to the AI background, and it pretty much replaces the background, and you can modify it and choose any of this. It has it by themes and stuff. And it just makes it super, super easy. That it's like within, like I take one photo in the studio, then I come back to the house. And with this app, I just change the background and I create 10 photos from it within a minute.
Yeah, I think that makes it look way more professional, the listing, because we were talking about, people listing things on Etsy 10 and 20 times. So what makes you stand out compared to someone, who's maybe selling something similar to you is the photo. So I think that
Right.
it'll definitely improve your click-through rate, right?
And yeah, and you can do it. You can do it with just natural light. You don't need flashes. You don't need backgrounds. You can do it super cheap and super easy, just with window light. If you put a table right next to your window light, and put like a see-through curtain, because you want to diffuse that sun. You don't want direct sun on your product, or it's going to look terrible. And then just put another bed sheet behind it, whatever it might be. That's just going to isolate your product. So then the program has really easy time removing the background. And especially if you use a contrasting color. So if your product is brown, use something blue or green or something. And that just removes it so easy and perfect. And then you can just choose whatever background you want.
What was that called again? I'm actually going to
Photo
probably
room.
download it.
Let's see. Photo Room.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
This is what the icon looks like.
Yeah. I've played with this. It works okay.
Yeah, for those just getting started and having to photograph your material, go to Dollar Tree and get yourself some foam core board. Yep, white foam core or black, depending on what you're. I mean, if you're photographing something that's white, don't use a white background. But,
right.
Yeah.
And then make sure you get the secondary foam board that is white to put it on the opposite side of the window to bounce back some light on the other side, or otherwise you get like really bright and then you lose all the details on the other side. It's going to be all dark with no details.
This is coming from photography people, so listen.
A really simple, setup. You can get you really good photos with just your phone, natural light, couple of, props.
Yeah, you just got to remember, just because someone's good at woodworking or good at any type of skill set doesn't mean that they have those type of skill sets, and that could be what's really making their sales suffer. So definitely your appearance on your item is going to make a huge difference. If people don't click on it, they're not able to see it. And the other things too is, like, let's say someone clicked on your listing and they don't buy it, but they see something else.
Right.
Well,
like, a lot of the time when I look at photos on Etsy and stuff, like, it seems like the problem is that everything is so busy that you can't even tell where the product is. It's like you have everything else in the background and hands in the picture, and it's just.
And a lot of times, when you're selling on Amazon, their requirement is you have I would say neutral background, either white or black, depending on what you're photographing. They don't want a bunch of other stuff in the background.
Yep. I use a gray one usually. That's my go-to. I have those rollers that they're just attached from the ceiling, and you just pull it down with this kind of like a curtain. I have a black, a white, and a gray one. I just keep the gray one down, and that's what I go with all the time. You can get pop-up ones. They have, like they just fling open. It's like fabric. Yeah. And you just lean it against the chair or something and put it in the back. It could be really easy and pretty affordable.
I guess a decent amount of people are using it. Madra said, I subscribe to Photo Room. It's amazing. If you get a clear pic. Zentento said the same thing. I use Photo Room occasionally. So he says, don't forget the inverse square law. What's that?
Inverse. It's the way the light bounces. And
okay. Yeah. So just definitely something to think about, because, like I said, to me, your those couple extra minutes that you may have taken, or maybe how much does that software cost?
It's cheap.
I don't remember. I got it like a year ago or something.
Okay, so whatever you're paying for it, that could literally
look on it. Runs on a phone, right, on a mobile device.
Yeah, and it's like I use it because a lot of the times I was like, I don't even want to go to the studio, which is in my barn, in the back of my yard. So I was like, I just go on the porch, just get out of the house, go on the porch, and I have the little coffee table there, and I just lean whatever product against the wall of the house that has a white painting. And I just take the photo, go back inside, and remove the background.
So it looks like you can get a free version and do up to 250 without a watermark. And then it's $89.99 a year for like the pro version.
And you can change the background. You can have one that you like and be like, okay, well, now add this in there too, or remove this, or you can just make your own backgrounds, kind of like ChatGPT. Just say like, setting a cross, put it on a church settings with candles light in the background and whatever. And that's what you get.
Yeah, the standard AI queries.
There you go. Roger, now you can do some crazy things with that. I could just imagine. With the squirrel.
Yeah. Another thing to remember when you are photographing your product, make sure we call it the rule of thirds. You want to have that take up a third of the space, and you want to have it in the middle, in the center. Don't have it like up high or up low or off to the right or off to the left. And I see that stuff all the time where people post pictures of something they've made for sale, and it's like, okay, what's the other stuff in this picture? Because what you're selling through over here to the right, so you gotta spend a little bit of time with it.
Yeah, and I always leave some room in the front of the subject because, it's kind of like, it's no different than if you photograph a person. You don't want to put them on the edge where they're looking out of the picture and it has all this space behind the picture. So
Centennial said the inverse square law is for light states that the intensity of the light from it's like a Google source, right? Intensity of light from a point source is inversely proportional to the square distance from source from Google.
Well, you see, gave proper attribution. That's the important thing.
There you go.
So the closer you have your light to your subject, the softer is going to be, the more pleasing to the eye, versus if you have the light far away, it's going to be a very harsh light, kind of like sunlight.
So I guess Reddy, we want to download. He says if you want to use the AI background, you have to get the paid version. So,
and I guess I'll throw one more thing in here too when you're photographing your products is what they call depth of field. Because if you have a very shallow depth of field, part of your product will be in focus and part of it won't. And if you have something, that's like three-dimensional, more or less, like let's say you're taking a picture of a cabinet you made. Well, the front of it might be all nice and clear, but if you don't have a good depth of field, the sides are going to be blurry or out of focus, and whatever's behind it's going to be out of focus. So you need to concentrate on depth of field too. This isn't a photography class, but crank your f-stops up. Don't shoot at 2.8 when you can shoot at f16. So
unless your background is busy, then you want it to be blurry.
Well, yeah. Or if you're looking for bokeh, which probably most people don't know what that is.
Yeah, well, yeah, but to do that, you're going to spend a little more money on a lens too.
Well, you get cinematic there.
Yeah. Like I have a couple of decent Canon lenses, but I have a pro Canon lens, and the difference is remarkable.
Yeah, bokeh. And it was depth of field, not depth of feel.
Yeah,
you got to feel it.
They were being wise asses, but yeah, I was laughing. But yeah, just something I think that was worth mentioning, because I think it makes a big difference, and I think that some people that are using these other methods that may work, that they're not going to be able to do anymore, they're going to have to do something differently. So definitely work. And it's nice too that it's actually an app on your phone. So you guys are talking about these big expensive cameras and lenses. You don't need a $5,000 camera to sell something for $89, right?
Actually, most modern phone lenses will do all of these things anyway.
Yeah, half of my photos are taken with my phone, half with the camera. It depends on how much time I had that day to go take a photo or just took a snapshot.
Hey, Harold, just so you're aware, we have pretty much thick skin and we're wise asses ourselves.
Oh,
so
yeah.
A little snicker or a joke, you're not offending anybody, right?
And I'm like the king of sarcasm. So
yeah. So I don't think you're going to offend us at all. We kind of laughed off. It's funny. Yeah. Unless you tell Steve that they're going to become a state in the United States. He does get a little bent out of shape, but every now and then I throw it out there.
Yeah, we're a little angsty about that kind of stuff.
Zetento said phone cameras have a depth of field, but they can fake a shallow depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like phone cameras, it's all software, right? Like the lenses are okay. Like most of them use like Zeiss or what are Zeiss lenses?
Yeah, Zeiss.
I forget what Apple uses. I think they use Zeiss lenses. And they work okay, but the rest of it's all magical software. And like phones can take pictures in the dark where a typical SLR camera can't really do that.
I'm really surprised we didn't see somewhere in the live post up 13 more days. Someone must not, Mr. Clack must not be in the audience. Normally he just snakes that in there for like some apparent reason.
Well, I think this one here is directed at Steve.
Yeah, this is the 51st state remark.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so did you make that shirt, your president came for a visit and we sent him home after the first day.
Oh man. I don't know. All I hope, man, is it's getting crazy. I hope we don't go into war.
Yeah.
We do not need a World War III. It's getting crazy.
We don't need we don't need any kind of war, World War or otherwise.
No, I saw some nuke threats mentioned on the news this morning, and I don't even want to talk about it, but it's just crazy. We're in crazy times right now. But they say that war, a lot of times, right, that's what brings the economy up to some countries.
It's also a political boost for politicians usually, yes. Right?
Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, so I hope we do not go to war. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's always nice and calm in my shop.
Harold said, who was the old PM? Justin Bieber?
Well, Justin Trudeau. Justin Bieber is also Canadian, but
oh wow. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Hey, so what have you made with that fourth axis besides a chess piece, Steve?
That's really probably all I've done. I mean, I've done some other things, minor things, but that's specifically why I got it.
Okay. I saw what kind of sold me. I thought it was cool because I'm Mexican. A lot of my niche's memorial stuff is I saw them in their video do a skull, and I thought like Dave the Dead, like, oh man.
Yeah. What's nice about a CNC router or rotary is the thing you're turning doesn't have to be round.
Yeah. When I saw them make a skull, I was like, oh.
Yeah, like you can take and this is where those STL files will be handy, right? Because you can just drop an STL file in there and turn the thing.
Yeah.
And and like for chess pieces, especially things like the king, the queen, the well, anything but the pawns really. You can turn them all on a lathe, but then you have to do extra stuff like a knight turned on a CNC comes off the CNC and it looks like a knight. You don't have to do any hand carving or anything, right?
Nice. I have a question.
Since Rick mentioned Day of the Dead, and maybe people don't know what that is. If you're of Hispanic origin, you know what it is. It's a celebration of your past ancestors, especially in Mexico. And if you are in an area where you have a large Hispanic population, that is a fantastic market for things that are made that have to do with Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
And no, it's not satanic and it's not Halloween. It's a completely different, it's almost a religious holiday.
Yeah. It's an honorable holiday, like honoring your family. So you'll probably upset somebody pretty bad if you say it's satanic or that type of thing.
It's not that at all. And I've had people say, why are you making all that satanic stuff? And it's not. I mean, and we are generally in Mexico for Day of the Dead every year. Although I'm not Hispanic by any means, but been accused of being one. But
Well, you're
yeah, we're not
part-time
really
Mexican. There's a difference. You're part-time Mexican. There's a difference, Roger.
Yeah.
Right?
just when he's eating tacos.
He's
Well,
honorary Mexican.
Hey, I ate the tacos I had tonight, and I'm still sitting here. The jalapenos are talking back to me big time.
Madre said, I have other obligations tonight. Have a good weekend, guys. Thank you for joining, answering questions. Appreciate it, Madre. Thank you for joining in and
Thanks for joining us.
joining our trash.
I'm going to disappear here for about 10 minutes, so
okay,
I'll be back.
Right. No problem. Hey, Skyler, I have another question for you.
Yes.
If you don't mind sharing.
No.
Your woods. You got some pretty awesome like wood sources. Would you mind sharing some of the sources where you get some of that wood from at all?
I buy most of my wood online. I do have some local hardwood stores here that I can go, and they give me a nice discount every time I go.
Mm-hmm.
I buy most of my woods either at Hardwoods of Tennessee or Okuch Hardwoods.
Okay.
Also, if you're looking for really more exotics and really good quality wood, but a little bit more expensive, I buy it from Rare Woods. They're here in Maine, and they have free shipping all over US. And then my burrs and more fancy woods, I get them on auctions.
Okay.
And I have a guy, I think it's from Canada actually, that I buy the wood I put into your cross, the yellow burr one.
Mm-hmm.
It's from this guy. I can give you his name. Let's see. He has an Instagram and Facebook. And he has auctions on Facebook and Instagrams, but you can contact him and he'll send you pictures of everything he has and prices. And I buy from him all the time.
So I'm thinking like, I get this big ass CNC. Like, I need some big pieces of wood. You know what I mean? Otherwise, why did I get this big CNC? So, yeah, I'm excited. So it's been a long coming. And you know what's funny is that I kept saying that I wanted to use the Monport chiller,
right,
versus just the cooler, right? Because I want the actual refrigerant one since I have the water cooler. It's like if you're not going to get the chiller and you're just going to use water, then did you really need a water cooler? Couldn't you just go on air cooled? That's my logic, right? If anyone thinks I'm wrong, let me know. But
on my K40, I don't have the actual chiller. I guess we'll call it a cooler. Heat exchanger. Heat exchanger is the right name for it.
Yeah,
and for what I do with it, I mean, the only thing I use my CO2 for is cut and clear acrylic, and I do a lot of it, but it has worked just fine. Even when it gets super hot up there in the summer, it'll keep the temperature down.
So I was always told that a CW3000 was pretty much what the Monport K40 comes with. Any CO2 lathe that's 50 watts or less, that's pretty much okay, and that's standard, right? Matter of fact, if it's colder, and you're like in a basement or it's a controlled environment, if you have a chiller, it may actually make it too cold and then cause a problem. Or you're actually not using the chiller because you're turning it so far down, right? But once you go above 50, then you probably should have a chiller. So, and I know I went literally on Amazon, just typed in the CW3000, the CW5000, just the different models of it. And it's like a lot of the same exact brands, just rebranding it.
Right.
But I was kind of like, since I know Monport, like if there was an issue, they'd stand behind it. And it's not that big of a drastic difference. And we do get somewhat of a discount. I was really just thinking I'd go into Monport. But then I was kind of upset because they had this sale on their website, but then said they would send in 17 days. And I'm like, no, like 17 days.
I want to know.
Yeah. So what's crazy is that now people have this like plug-in on their website, right? Because you've logged into their website before. When you go put something in your shopping cart, you don't buy it. I literally got an email that said, "Hey Rick, I noticed you put this in your shopping cart and you didn't buy it. Why didn't you purchase it?" And I was like, "Because I want to order it today, not 17 days from now." But I was torn between yours and just basically willing to pay extra because of the name, because I know if there's a problem with it, I'll get a new one. If I save $60 and it craps out of me in 30 days, it doesn't matter. I just lost, you know what I mean? And so they gave me a coupon, and I said, "So can you send it out sooner than 17 days?" No.
No, I think a lot of us are getting spoiled by places like Amazon.
Yes.
For example, I just bought a tooth bar for the tractor, Piranha tooth bar.
Okay.
and for the front bucket, and it's like a 2.5 week lead time. And I'm looking, well, okay, yeah, I guess that's fine, but you're not going to get it any quicker. It's just I'm in the queue, as they speak.
Yeah, I know, but it's just so. But you're right. Amazon is spoiling us, and before that, that was probably so normal we wouldn't even question it.
Not
So
here where
John,
I live. Everything takes a full week to get here to Maine.
well,
On
Sean here
Amazon.
says it's very big in Manila as well. They're talking about Day of the Dead, and families spend the entire day celebrating their family. And the same holds true in Mexico and in Honduras.
Yeah.
We've been in both places on Day of the Dead, and yeah.
Question for you, Skyler.
How long is the hardwood that they ship? I mean, you can get it up to 8 feet. It all depends who you bought it from. I think Hardwoods of Tennessee, they have it shorter. They try to pack it by 47 inches, but they put it by 20 board feet in one box. But they sell it for a lot cheaper. For example, I have tons of cherry from them. I bought it. They were 5/4 and 6/4 cherry for $2.67, $2.67 per board feet. So
And when they're
super
getting in, to follow up with this next question here, and since I'm a big shipper and I know all about this, if it's, and Skyler mentioned about being 47 inches, when you hit 48 inches, it becomes oversized.
right.
When you hit 72 inches, it becomes oversized too. And it can get really expensive when they get to be 10 foot.
I just bought some walnut from them, 5/4 walnut. I got the box. I didn't open it yet because I want to make it into a video. See how many cutting boards and grain cutting boards can we get from 10 board feet. See the price, how much it costs, how much is the shipping, how long it takes to make, and what kind of profit can we make. So I bought the 10 board feet. It was $9 a board feet for 5/4 walnut. And then I think I paid like $30 shipping for it.
Yeah, but there's something to be said too. Is you got to remember that you can glue that up, right? So people always think I need this big long piece, and if you're going to glue them up anyways, you're doing end grains.
I've never had a need for longer than 47 inches, other than when I build my daughter's bed.
Oh, okay.
Other than that, most of my
Yeah.
things are shorter.
For something like walnut, we have the advantage here in Muscatine, Iowa, is a privately owned sawmill, and you can go down there and buy cherry and walnut and the white oak, red oak, Eastern red cedar, right? Eastern white cedar, and Eastern red cedar is what they make cedar chests out of. And they're ash, maple. They got just a huge selection, and you can choose whether you want it just right off the sawmill or if you want it dried, kiln dried. So it's
I
kind of a
always
cool
buy
place.
the kiln dry, and then if I get it from Rare Woods here in Maine, like I said, they have free shipping everywhere in the country, and I buy it always rough sun. So I mill it myself, but because it's rough sun, so instead you get the one by material, which normally if you get it milled, it will come a 3/4 inch thickness. But because I get it rough sun, it comes like just about an inch. So if I mill it very carefully, I can get 7/8 from it.
Nice.
Yeah.
As long as it's not cupped or anything.
Usually it's not. That's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, there's a couple of big wood sales places here. They sell in bulk, and that's what I use rough wood too usually.
So
And,
you have a
you
very
can get
unfair
anything
advantage.
you want. They have a lot of exotic stuff here too.
You have
Right.
a very you have a very unfair advantage, Steve.
Here, Davidson's Old Natural Gem says, I think shipping will be a nightmare. It can and can't. It depends on how much you are buying. For example, when we buy boxes, and we buy a lot of boxes, we buy them by the pallet, and we have them shipped common carrier, which means they come in a truck and unload them with a forklift. And to buy those boxes and have them shipped like UPS or FedEx would cost a fortune. Where I can get 2 or 3 pallets of cartons shipped here for a couple $100. So it depends, on the quantity you're buying and whether they can ship it by a common carrier, LTL carrier, or if it has to come from like UPS or FedEx. So it makes a difference.
So those who don't know what common carrier is, Roger, do you want to explain that?
It's a trucking company, where they show up in front of your place with a semi. You got to have a way to unload it, but unless you're going to pay for a lift gate or something, like I said, we have a forklift, so it's not an issue for us.
Yeah. So I brought up, Steve, why you jumped away, that what are some places, I have to CNC now to buy wood, other than the box store, Home Depot or Menards,
Yeah, I generally don't buy there. I buy, like, the place I go, they sell, just like, you go into the place and it's like this giant warehouse, and they got all these woods that are, and there's 2 rows, like you can go into an upper deck, and it's all sorted alphabetically, and all the common ones, like walnut and cherry and maple, those things, they have racks and racks of it. But then you get to the ebony section, and it's this little skinny thing that only sells boards this long. But
Yeah, the problem with buying it from a big box store is like the wood is never dry. So I had so many problems when I started woodworking. Like I would use it to make projects, and then it starts cupping and twisting, and my lid of the boxes will not close anymore. They were like rock, and it's just all kinds of issues that your project just gets ruined afterwards. So invest in a good meter, like moisture meter for your wood.
And Rick, another place to kind of look is look on Marketplace.
Yeah.
Because Marseilles, I'm sure you know where that is. That's not that far from either one of us, right? Kind of in between us. There's some place there that he's got a solar kiln.
Okay.
And he sells all different types of hardwood there.
I've never been there, but supposedly there's a place that's south of me that's an auction for wood. And I only know because when I cut down those huge trees, like people were literally stopping and they're like, "Hey, how much are you going to sell that for?" And maybe because they wanted to actually bring it with a crane to pick it up to sell it at the auction.
Yeah, they do that for a lot of live edge stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I buy a lot of my live edge on auctions.
Yeah, this place I go, they've had a piece of live edge. I guess it's walnut. I've never looked at it close enough, but it's about 3 inches thick. It's about 12 feet long and 6 feet wide, and it's been hanging on the wall as long as I've been going there. So it's not cheap. It's in the thousands of dollars.
Yeah, they told me that my tree would be worth like 20 grand to the right person, but it's so big that need a crane to pick it up.
Yeah,
because it's like it's close to 6 feet tall, laying on its side. Put it that way.
So, and a lot of auctions, you can start a pallet with them, and then the more you accumulate, then they will ship it when they have a full pallet.
Oh no, I didn't realize that. That's
what kind of tree is it, Rick? Maple, walnut?
Yeah, I think it's walnut tree. Yeah.
Oh, then it's worth good money.
Yeah.
Yeah, 260 a board foot. Davidson's Old National Gym saying black cherry in Maine for 260 a board foot. You can't get that anywhere near that cheap here.
A lot of our stuff is local, so like you want butternut or elm, like those things. They're all local from here.
Well, black cherry is common around here, but it's you're not going to get it that cheap.
Yeah, Harold said, "Home deep shit."
I always called it Homely Depot, but okay.
Lowe's always have stringers and funny glue in the mix. Doesn't make for good wood cuts. Yeah.
I did, however. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I did, however, order from Home Depot once some walnut that I needed for a project, and I bought like a few different boards. They were 8 foot long and 6 inches wide. And one of them came, and that pack was all curly, like the most figure walnut you have ever seen. The rest of them were junk, lots of sapwood and, not good. But one was just like, wow, how did I get so lucky?
So I'm in between 2 different Home Depots, right? Like there's 2 separate towns. And I would drive to a whole nother town because the Home Depot that was farther away from me in a neighboring town, the wood, like they would actually go through the wood piles, flip the wood, any bird that was twisted, they throw it out. And I actually said something. There was like 2 kids, probably 17 years old, right? And I was like, why is this store so drastically different than any Home Depot I've ever been into in my life? Like, you guys are literally like flipping all the boards? He's like, yeah, they make us. And I was like, so how come all Home Depots don't do that? His boss is a retired Marine. So I mean, you literally walked down the wood aisle, every piece of wood was super straight. I mean, it was not what you pictured at Home Depot. So I went in Home Depot and I left actually a Google review and said, This place is phenomenal. Other stores can learn from this store. The neighboring Home Depot that I was complaining about, their roof actually leaked, and the wood would be soaking wet. And sometimes wood would have mold, black mold on it. I'm like, you can't sell this to people. Like, you guys got to throw this away. So I went in there like a month ago, and guess what I saw? I saw some kids flipping boards and doing these things. And I said, oh, wow. You guys are doing that? And the manager actually said yes, because someone left a review. And she brought up and said that they said something to them and said they have to start it. And they actually told the kids, slow down because they're throwing too much wood away. I didn't tell her, hey, that was me, or I think that was me, but yeah. So yes, I give Home Depot a very hard time. But I guess it's not necessarily the store, it's the managers, right? They actually have to dedicate people to really maintain that wood the right way.
Yeah. I've never even thought of buying hardwood at a Home Depot. It just doesn't seem to be the place for
My Home Depot doesn't even carry walnut, only online.
Yeah.
In the store, you can only get pine, poplar, and red oak.
Well, the only thing I buy from Home Depot lumber-wise here is 1/8" plywood, because I can't get anywhere else locally.
Menards,
I can order it from Menards, but then I got to wait for it to come in, and hopefully they don't ding the hell out of the edges of it.
Yeah, the Menards I buy, or sometimes Home Depot, just the cedar fence pickets. I buy hundreds of them.
Oh yeah, that's Menards for me.
Yeah. So, and then Home Depot, I buy a lot of times just the plywood.
Well, cedar fence pickets aren't going to warp and twist. So
they do.
Oh yes, they will.
Again, I buy wood in Canada. Cedar is straight here.
They will.
When you get the cedar fence pickets, they're not dried at all. They're just literally
they're right off the tree. Yeah, they're pretty wet.
I stack them up in the shop and put stickers in me. If somebody doesn't know what a sticker is, that's a stick, not a paper thing. And separate them so that they can air dry and try to keep some weight on top. But so we still get some that cup and twist and split.
Well, you'd have to, if it's really wet, you'd have to do that with any kind of wood, really.
So I have the full, my table behind me, it's a full sheet of plywood. So underneath, one of the shelves is just empty, and that's literally what I'll fill it with. The whole fence pickets, just stack them in there, and so the weight keeps it down. I just let them dry, and then I try to pull from the bottom, so I keep that's the flattest one with all the weight. But they'll drop to like what, $1.88, versus like, and once they go to $1.88, I'll just buy all of them. Like, how many you have left?
Well, I'm one of them people though. When I do that, I'm out there and I'm sorting the pile.
Oh, absolutely. I'm throwing some back, but I'm sitting there, but I'll buy all they have when they drop them that low.
So 10 says he bought 3 trailer loads of wood, like winning the lottery. Yeah, it's more and more like that every day. The price.
Every once in a while, you'll see somebody around here that's got, they're cleaning out a barn or whatever, and it's got a whole bunch of hardwood in it from.
It's probably been there for 50, 60 years. Yeah.
So I do get some hardwoods for free, and it's because near us, Roger, is a company who builds dams. And the motors that run the dams, they're like the size of a pickup. So they have to use super thick pieces of wood and hardwood because the motor weighs so much when they ship them that they can't break. So they have these huge crates out of this wood that's like thick. And they were actually
all maple, right?
All different kinds of stuff.
It's usually white oak. And one of the crates I got that was actually from a steel mill. They had some equipment in it. The bases were like 4x6 cherry.
Yeah,
of course, it was the heartwood of the cherry, so you had to cut around it. But I managed to make some pretty nice cutting boards out of that.
That's a good find.
Yeah, so they were paying like $2,000 a month for a dumpster just to throw this wood away, and had 2 employees full time just cutting the wood up so that it can be put into the thing. And I says, "Can I have that wood?" So I literally go to a U-Haul. I rent the biggest open trailer they have. And they come with forklifts, and I look like Sanford and Son driving down the road, right? Like my truck. I don't know if you've ever seen a picture. I actually have a picture on Facebook. My truck is like, and people are like, "I don't know, Rick, you're kind of pushing the limits." So it's funny. But the one time I had that picture, my truck was sitting like that. in the back of my truck, they had actually put a pallet, and when I took off the wood, inside of the pallet was like a motor disassembled. So I called them and was like, "Hey, I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. I think you guys accidentally threw away a motor." And it was Friday, like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. He's like, "Take a picture of it." I took a picture, sent to him. He's like, "Yeah, do you have to get out of your truck or can you get rid of it?" I'm like, "Look, if you're gonna get in trouble, I'll come on Saturday. Nobody's there. I'll meet you at the back door and take it off my truck." He's like, "I'd rather you just get rid of it." So
Yeah.
I scrapped it.
Take it to the copper recycling place.
Yeah, I scrapped it. Yeah, but it was heavy. They took that big giant grappler arm. When you grabbed the box, it wouldn't move, and he was like, "I don't want to go in the box in your truck because if I push down, I could break your leaf springs." I'm like, "Well, then don't." But luckily, he's like, "Well, what if it slips and it falls out of your truck?" I'm like, "Then don't."
Yeah.
So I gave him a nice little tip when he grabbed it out of my truck for me. But that's a good find for me. But the pieces generally, they don't tend to be really wide. They tend to be really long, but not super wide. But very thick. So it's kind of crazy. Harold said, "Yeah, good if you're in Canada and you want hockey sticks. They come pre-shaped."
It depends where you go. If you go to Home Depot, for sure, that's how they
Yeah.
Well, so what do they have? The Canadian Tire. Does Canadian Tire sell wood?
No.
What are they? That's just like
Canadian Tire is like industrial Walmart.
Okay.
They sell everything, like most of the things Walmart sells, except for clothes. They don't sell clothes. Actually, that's not true. I think they do now. But yeah, it's not my favorite place.
I went there once. I just couldn't remember. That's why I said it. Ochoa said, "What's the best Rico to start a pro-consume laser for laser engraving, putting boards, and cutting thin plywood?" Rico.
I'm going to say the laser, or for laser wise, if you want to diode laser, it'd be the longer B1.
Yeah.
For putting boards and cutting thin yeah, some kind of diode laser.
Yeah, the longer B1 is just a workhorse. Rick has one. I have two of them, and
I got one. I don't know if I still have it. I think I got rid of it.
No, I use mine a lot. I took the Iker K. It replaced my Iker K1 Pro. So yeah, I like it a lot. It's I cut on Halloween. I make those jack-o'-lanterns. Just straight through. And the only reason I'll do multiple passes on the B1 is because exactly what we're talking about, Roger. If that wood is not completely dried, you'll get that random spot that didn't cut through because the wood's still wet. So I do multiple passes, even though I don't have to, so I don't have that headache. Like I know if I pick it up for sure, it's loose. You know. If
it's cedar, you could hit a knot too. That'll be a little tougher to get through.
Right.
Or some gum.
Yeah. So what are you guys making out of cedar fence pickets?
I'm reaching here. Got two of them sitting on the table here because I'm making so many of them. Yeah. These are picnic tables for squirrels.
And he's going to use Photo Room to put a squirrel eating at his picnic table in the Waldorf.
I was going to AI generate that so I don't get hit with some copyright thing. But yeah,
Rick, I did one of this like yours.
I saw it on Facebook.
But this is 3/4 inch.
Nice, very cool. Very cool.
Another thing you can make out of cedar fence pickets that I have good luck with, but Rick doesn't, is birdhouses.
Yes, I actually still have one. I was actually going to be a wise ass and put it on Marketplace and share it on our Shop Talk Live Facebook group, just to show it.
Well, you make them, you don't sell them, right? That's the.
Yeah, my wife was like, you should just start putting those out throughout the yard. I'm like, were you listening to my live or something? Just like busting my balls or what? I thought they were so cool, but I don't know. I just didn't have good luck. And people are like,
it's my cigar box problem too.
They look cool, but yeah.
Well, you can also make porch signs that after they look really cool, then you can just give them away because nobody will buy them. But
yeah. So Tenda said old wood is good wood, but if it's cut more than 50 years ago, it's just better wood.
It's better. Yeah, the actual wood is better.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the difference is that old wood, right? They allowed it to grow, and now they have tree farms that the tree is not old, right?
Well, it's
So-
not old and they're force grown, right? So the rings are big, and
Yes.
like if you take some 100-year-old piece of like hickory or something, man, the rings on that thing are going to be like just stacked one on top of each other. Like
Yeah.
the stuff is so dense. Even pine, like old 2x4s.
Yes.
You tear down an old house, and man, the 2x4, well, they were real 2-inch by 4-inch pieces of wood for one thing, but they're just like super dense. Like you cut them and they just look like they were cast. It doesn't look like a piece of wood.
Hey, V.
Hi, V.
Yeah,
Hey,
Ivy. Glad you could join us.
I'm sure she'll do her round. She normally jumps in each one of our channels to say hello. So she's just getting ready for work. Just stop in.
Wow.
Work? What's that?
Well, I even if I was working, I'd think it would be a horrible time to have to go to work this time of day.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I
Should
did
I
have to do a
can't
night shift for a while. I never liked it.
I
So I can't get
couldn't
8
do
hours
it.
together.
I'd just be asleep.
So I can't get 8 hours ago. I sleep 5 hours and 2 hours at a time. It sucks.
Sounds rough.
Yeah.
Sounds
Well,
like-
wait till you're in your 60s, V. Then you'll only get 5 hours anyway, and you'll think it's great when you do.
And and if you can get 5 hours without having to get up to pee in the meantime.
Yep.
I'm not at that age yet.
You know, so I have a CDLA class and I have to take this physical, and I failed my physical because they said there was blood in my urine. So they said I had to go to the doctor. So obviously I couldn't see it when I went to the bathroom, but it came up in the test. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Rick, do you drink any water?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Are you sure?" He says, "Because it doesn't look like you drink water." So now at work, people make fun of me because I literally walk around with a water bottle, but I'm like peeing every 5 minutes. They're like every 25 minutes, I gotta go pee, But it's because I'm just drinking water constantly now. But it's
Well,
crazy.
when they tell you about drinking water, they mean real water, not barley water.
Oh yeah. I thought, what did it say? Save water, drink beer.
Yeah.
Brett said, "Does anyone have a good source for reclaimed material?"
Somebody
look
tearing down
at,
a barn, old pallets.
If you have a what they call a humanitarian store somewhere around you, where they people that are tearing down old houses or whatever will take this old material, doors and lumber and stuff, and donate it or sell it to one of these recycle or what do they call it? Habitat for something here, not Habitat for Humanity, but there's a Habitat store here in this area
Yeah,
where
there's
you can
one
go
here,
and find antique doors and millwork and just all kinds of stuff.
A lot of the times here, people too are just putting stuff on the driveway, getting rid of furniture and all kinds of stuff. I can just
Yeah.
go, and if you're willing to put in the time and strip it down, you can make some nice boxes or who knows what from it.
Go early in the morning before the garbage truck gets there. You can find all kinds of recycled
Yeah.
wood.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be replacing some of those old doors with the 8-pane glass with the skeleton keys. I still have those in my house.
Well,
So
People will pay for those, right?
yeah. So my whole house has them. Every door in my house is a skeleton key. Matter of fact, they one of my front doors, they just put a deadbolt and they left the skeleton key in the bottom and they added another one. That's just kind of funny. But yeah, I'm gonna start replacing them. But yeah, they're definitely cool.
Does the wind whistle through there in the wintertime?
Yeah, my son actually stuck a crayon and smashed it in one of them and I didn't even yell at him because of that exact reason. He was like, "Why does it always make noise?" Snap.
You just want to
Fix
get
that
some
problem.
expanding foam and squirt it in the hole. And
Fix that problem. Got an orange crayon stuck in there. But yeah, so a decent amount of people in the live. I just wanted to put a plug there. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, make sure that you join. Go to shoptalklive.club. It's just an auto forward. It'll bring you to Facebook. That way we don't have this big long URL you're supposed to try to memorize. Feel free to share some of your work. I'm definitely blown away every single time I see someone's work. Yeah, and the
there's been some
camaraderie
good
and
stuff in
helping.
there lately.
Yeah, so very cool, very cool. So feel free to share. And we also have a lot of YouTubers and influencers as well. They watch our live, so we appreciate the support. So if you are a YouTuber or you are an influencer, feel free to drop your stuff in the Facebook group as well. So let's see.
I was just gonna look
Star
to
of
see how
Texas
many.
said old wood floor slats.
Yeah, old hardwood floor, because they're a lot of times the old stuff, especially some of the oak and hickory, is a full inch thick.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
can
you
make some
want the
pretty cool
wide
stuff
boards
out of
though,
it.
because you're going to be cutting all the nails off the side.
Well, yeah.
There was no shortage of nails in hardwood floors.
Shannon said, Skyler, Steve, look up if Efi makes is telling you not to say anything bad about the printer.
Nope.
They have told me nothing.
I can say anything I want about it.
That was the one thing when they first approached me and they asked me if I want to review it. I thought was so interesting because I was like, I don't know, I'm really bad at computers. I've never used a printer like this. I'm like, what if I can't figure it out? And they've told me if you are not comfortable making the review or you cannot figure it out, you don't have to do the review. You can just send the printer back. So it was like, okay.
That's cool.
I've never had that with any other brand that I worked with. They're like, yeah, we need the video in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But
Well, they
this
always
one
say
was
that.
like,
And then you disappoint them sometimes and you say, look, I'm busy. It's not going to be 2 weeks.
yeah, well, I was supposed to get a video out this week for laser that I already own, but I didn't get it done.
Yeah, like the We Create Vision Pro. I had that thing sitting in a box on my floor for about a month and a half before I even opened the box.
Yeah.
And I sent them a message and said, look, I know I said I was going to have this done in a couple of weeks, but it's going to be a month. Oh,
I
no
think
problem.
what drives me the more crazy is like when they will contact you and be like, okay, we're going to have this new laser coming in June. Can we send it to you? Can you do a review? And I said, yes. So I'm thinking, I'm planning my videos for June and what I'm working on. So I have time to allocate to this laser. And then they say, well, we're running behind. Now it's going to be the beginning of July.
Yeah.
So
You
the
get in
beginning of
October.
July. Then there's like, the thing doesn't get sent until August. And then I
Yeah.
get it in August. And then it arrives on my porch. And the next morning I have an email from them. Did you unpack it? How is it working? When do we expect the video to be done? I'm like,
That's
you're
that's how-
talking about?
Yeah,
That's
I mean, I'm a bit neurotic from a process perspective, so I like to have a schedule of videos, and they'll say this, oh, it's going to be released in June, and then June comes and oh, it's going to be late, and then it's delayed. Meanwhile, I've scheduled something else. So like this We Create came with 3 other lasers because 2 of them were late, and it's like, okay, now you're going to wait because
yeah.
you're outside the schedule now.
The robot lawnmower, they kept telling me about it, and then when they finally wanted to send it to me, it was November, and I'm like, you do know I live in Chicagoland area, right? Yeah, I'm like, what am I gonna do with a robot lawnmower in November? Like, you can unbox it and do what? It's assembled. Here you
Around
go.
your living room.
I'm not sure how it works or if it's any good, but
Mow
here it
the
is.
carpet. Get one of those fuzzy carpets. Let it mow.
I was going to comment because when I did my video for the motion mower, you made some derogatory comment about my lawn. I was going to make some comment about yours with all those like bomb craters and stuff in it.
Well, it's because I dug up with the tractor trees, stumps.
Oh yeah, you didn't plant some more grass seed in there?
No, I'm waiting for a couple more bonfires because then I'll take I'll drive into into the pit and take the dirt and then fill it up.
Yeah, I don't know. We might be in an okay to burn phase right now, but usually where I live, it's like if you light a match in any time there's no snow on the ground, you're going to get a $10,000 fine.
No, so I need to have at least, and when I say fire, it's probably 35 feet round circle. And the hole is, put it this way, the hole's big enough that I can drive my tractor in, turn around, and pull back out. So it's like 6 feet down, right? And normally the pile's like 15 feet above the ground. So then when I get about that high, that's where I'm done. I have to have a fire, and then I can trim more trees, and then because my property is just filled with trees.
Yeah.
You have a chipper. When we cut the trees, we just send everything through the chipper, well, the smaller stuff, and then just use it and mulch the forest.
I just throw it on the burn pile, and then when it gets big enough, we have a big party.
I have a chipper, and I'm looking. It's not a PTO chipper. I'm looking at getting one to put on the tractor. We have so much brush, so much to do something with. And as Rick has said, he's got these huge piles to burn. Well, you can't have wind, and it can't be dry, and you got to have water out there. And
Yeah.
we just run stuff through the tipper.
We just have all kinds of burning restrictions and.
Yeah, so I'm gonna incorporate it so I can do literally whatever I want, but my neighbors can't. So it's funny, like they're township, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So like on the north side of my property, there's 9 houses. That's how long my property is. And on the south side of my property, there's 3 houses. They can't do anything what I can do. I can ride dirt bikes, 4-wheelers, like I can do whatever I want, and they can't. So it makes them mad, but whatever.
Oh, so you're popular in the neighborhood.
Well, we got annexed into the city itself about 8 years ago, and we have a business. I have 4 greenhouses, and they're big, and I'm grandfathered, but I cannot make them bigger or move them, and I can't add to them, and I can't have chickens either.
So David said something. 2 things I was actually going to mention. That was one of them. I forgot to mention this one. So are you going to open a YouTube community on your channel? That came a feature yesterday.
Yeah.
And so did an auto dubbing unless you turned it off. So
I had my dubbing gone for months now. I was one of those people that got it early.
Yeah, I got it a long time ago too.
Yeah, me too.
No, but it's like official now. Like everyone should have it.
Yeah, they opening the public community thing is finally a good idea.
Yeah, I didn't dig into all what that is, but I did see that was an added feature. I got that email.
Yeah, it's basically like a bulletin board, right, where people can post and you can post. It's a good idea.
I clicked on a link and it just brought me to my channel, and then I got sidetracked on something else and never went back.
I did exactly the same thing yesterday.
I did the same thing. I'm like, I don't even know where to find it. I opened the thing. I'm like, that's my channel. Okay, now what?
So I got sidetracked on something else, and I never went back to it.
Yeah, I saw a shiny light and I went and chased that for a while after. And then I forgot to get back to it.
Yeah, so funny, all 3 of us did the same exact thing. So that's hilarious.
Well, it didn't. I clicked on it and it wasn't immediately in my face. So I thought, oh, here's something I need to pay attention to.
Yeah, why did you put the link? It should have just automatically brought you to the page. I was like, what the hell is this? And I even went back to the same email, did it twice. I was like, oh, okay.
But in answer to the question, yeah, I'll open it as soon as I figure out how to turn it on.
Same. So it's now open to everyone yesterday. Yeah. Nobody. 20 years of night shift. Kind of glad it's over now. Yeah, it can be rough. That's for sure.
20 years. That could just mess you up. Like you just become nocturnal at that point. Like
pretty much.
How do you come back from that?
Yeah, no. When we were on storm and we'd work all those crazy hours, I'd be messed up sometimes for a month.
Oh yeah. When you get into the weird, especially if you start pulling 24 and 32-hour days.
Yeah.
Of course, our union didn't allow that anymore, but that happened way back, and man, it screws you up for a long time.
I was a software guy. We were lucky to get 8 hours in.
Yeah.
So here, Star of Texas Designs and DIY. Well, there's a brewery and a bar opening up near me. What's your sales pitch on coaster money? I'm going to use slit coasters because that's the big thing we do with these high-end bars. If it's engraved one side and lots of 100, they're $5 a piece. If they're engraved both sides, which means front and back, which means on the front is like the name of the bar or whatever, and in the back it says stolen from and has the bar on it. Those are $7.
The other thing would be cool is now everyone's doing those QR codes, because the QR code is their menu or their drink menu. That'd be a cool thing. So it brings you to their website with their menus, so they don't have to have a bunch of menus. That could be a pitch something too. An upsell option, right? Say, hey, we could do this, or might be something you might want to put out there.
Yeah.
So let us know how that goes. I'm curious. Let us know.
Yeah. This sounds like a good application for doing coasters, what Roger does too, right? Because it's B2B but for me, just the whole making 4 coasters and trying to sell them to somebody, that's not my thing.
Yeah, like I said, when I do them in lots of 100.
Right. Yeah, I've done coasters, but it's always for another business. It's not for somebody's living room.
Right, but I think the most important part about what Roger's doing though is that's just not 100 coasters. That's a return customer.
Yes. Yeah. Once you get into that that
Yeah,
No,
you
because
know,
no, what I
like
mean is
things
'cause
I've
they're
done
gonna
are
get
for like
stolen.
like companies lobbies and stuff, right? So
you know, they don't have to be slate either. I mean, these are 3D printed.
Yeah, they're gonna get
Right here.
stolen for sure. People are
Yeah.
going to steal them.
And you can go with a set of 4 coasters and give them as a, welcome to the neighborhood kind of thing gift, and then get to talk to them. I've done it with restaurants before, where I'll go with a breadboard and be like, welcome to the neighborhood. If you need any of these breadboards, I can make them, because restaurants usually they'll have the free bread or whatever in the beginning.
Right.
yeah, for things like cutting boards and stuff, that's usually why I tell people who make woodworking stuff to go target real estate agents and lawyers, right? Real estate lawyers, because like it's cool when somebody buys a house, they open the front door, they go into the kitchen, and there's a nice cutting board there that's got some real estate agents advertising on the back, but it's a practical gift, right? As opposed to sometimes they'll give you a bottle of wine or something, and it's like, okay, once that's gone, I forget about you.
That's one of the ones we do. Is we use the Dollar Tree bamboo cutting boards.
Yep.
And engrave what's kitchen equivalents on the back, along with the real estate agent's name and his phone number.
Yep.
And
I don't mind I don't mind the IKEA bamboo boards. They're actually, and once a year, Aldi's of all places has some like killer thick, super nice $5 cutting boards that I'll sell them for $45-50 all day.
So
and
those
just
are
start engraving them.
those IKEA boards made from the finest Swedish bamboo.
Yes, absolutely.
I like this comment here. It's a good play on words. Norwegian Navy started putting QR codes on all their ships, so when they pull in the port, they can Scandinavian.
Oh, groan.
Yeah,
Dun, dun,
that's almost a dad joke.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
That's funny. That was a good one. So we did something one time. It was unrelated to our lives, but it went well. And it was I asked a question: what is a toy that you had as a kid you wish you still had? So I got a question for somebody. What's something that cars don't have that they used to have?
Nothing. Old cars had nothing compared to new cars.
They don't have the high beam on the floor.
Well, now there was.
Well, yeah, they don't have that.
I had a friend had a '65 Chrysler New Yorker, and he converted the windshield washer pump into an alcohol dispenser and routed it into the glove compartment.
Jesus.
And that was something that you don't see anymore. But
most cars don't have cigarette lighters anymore either.
Yeah, they don't have cigarette lighters.
No, now they call them a power port.
Power outlet, yeah. But
yeah,
like my car doesn't have any of those things. Like doesn't have anything.
Well, my truck has one in the front and one in the back.
It's got a couple of USB ports if I want to charge something, but
yeah, got those two, USB-A and USB-C.
Instead of clutch, people don't even know how to drive stick anymore.
Well, that's how if you buy a car and it has a stick shift, it's pretty much theft resistant. Because most of the car thieves aren't going to know how to drive
it. Yeah, modern day car thieves are all 20 years old, so they don't know how to drive anything with a stick in it.
Vent
windows. Yeah, that was a big thing.
Yeah, I learned to drive on an old Ford F-150 and the 3/4 ton. Oh no, it wasn't a 150; it was a 3/4 ton. And the gear shift must have been about 6 feet long. And like first gear was way up here, and second gear was way back here.
Well, at least it wasn't 3 on the tree. There you go.
No.
Now, here's another one here too that's good. That'll confuse anybody that's young. Is a foot dimmer switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look down
big
there.
Giant knob sticking out there.
Yeah, my car doesn't have a switch either. It's all automatic now.
Rear wheel skirts. Yeah. Cadillacs. The big Oldsmobiles used to have those.
Oh, we got an actual related question. Here you go.
A real work question here.
For the Oofy. Go ahead, Steve.
For the Eufy, the new add-on to do long prints, have you had a chance to use it yet? Nope, they haven't shipped it yet. It's coming though. They might have shipped it, it just hasn't arrived.
Harold said gas caps under a rear license plate. You know what's so funny about that is I remember that if you used to not actually click your gas cap, you could have a check engine light because it threw something off with like the.
Yeah, it's because the gas tank is pressurized a bit.
Right, but now there's cars without gas caps at all.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
truck doesn't have one.
mine doesn't have a gas tank, so
Yeah. Zetento said fins.
fins. Yeah, there you go.
My 57 Chevy or my 1959 Plymouth Belvedere had huge fins on the back of it.
Nice one, nice one. Keep them coming,
Well,
guys.
that was the
Keep
thing,
coming.
right? Every year the
Think
fins
about
got bigger and bigger, and then somebody
yeah.
said, "Well, fins are stupid, so let's just not have them anymore."
And then Fast and the Furious came out and they brought them back.
Well, I think when Edsel come out with, or when Ford came out with the Edsel and them giant fins, that kind of killed it.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the end of it.
What was that? The Roadrunner had that big giant fin on it, right?
Well, that was a spoiler on the back. Well, a
Yeah,
wind spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny though. And then the Daytona had one too. But yeah.
Yeah,
Just
it was
funny.
basically the same car. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Here you go. What's one say? Riviera used to have an eyelid type on the fronts. Oh, those were cool. I remember that.
Hideaway headlights.
Yeah.
Yeah, hideaway headlights are gone.
Yeah, those are cool. Like the phantom lights. I like that. That was cool. But all right, guys, look like we hit time. I just wanted to sneak something funny in at the end. It was last time we mentioned something like that. The comments started coming in so bad we ended up going like 30 minutes over on the live. But thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm sleepy.
No, I know. I'm just saying I just thought it was funny to do something like that. But switch it up a bit sometimes. But thank you guys for joining the live. Appreciate everyone. If you're not a member already, join the Facebook group. You guys want to say anything to close out?
No, just everyone stay safe, have fun.
We'll see you next week.
Keep building. See you next week.
Yeah.
Yep. Bye.
Go make something. Take care, all.
Take care.